exciting news over in Springfield. And with us right now, Nate Henne from the Springfield city government. You're the city manager. Good morning to you.
Morning, Tim. Thanks for having me.
Nice to have you. How long have you been the city manager there now?
Oh, about 3.5 years now. I just signed another 3-year contract back in December.
Oh, okay.
So I'll be sticking around.
Where are you from?
Originally from Owasso, Michigan, but I started my career out in Colorado.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You know, I always ask city managers that question. Did you grow up playing that game where you pretend you're a city manager? And I can't think of the name of it right now. You know the one I mean?
No, not at all. In fact, I didn't know what a city manager did until I was halfway through my master's program. But once I got a feel for it, I interned and never looked back. So I don't know what game you're talking about.
There was a game, and it was really big, like 15 years ago, that people would play where they had to be a city manager. And, and you had to deal with all the headaches and all the variables, and there are a lot of them. And it'll come to me, or somebody will maybe call us and tell us or email me. But, it was a cool game. And, a few city managers I've interviewed over the years said, oh, yeah, I used to play that. But, they do have school for such things, don't they?
Oh, yeah, thank goodness they do.
Somebody texted me, so Sim City. Yeah, Sim City is what it was called. And,
of course, we played that, yeah.
Yeah, now
in a more formal setting, I think Springfield used to do a mayor exchange years and years ago, but I played Sim City when I was a kid.
See, I knew it.
My city's never failed.
And let me ask you about Springfield. I mean, what's the state of Springfield right now? How are things going over there?
We are doing very well. Obviously, we're going to talk about this new partnership with Sprout Urban Farms, but financially, Springfield, that's the big ticket item ever since the housing market burst for a lot of cities. Is that's the first question: what is your financial situation? Mm-hmm. And it's boring, but to a lot of people, it's the most important thing. And thankfully, Springfield is doing very well. It's been under good management before I was there, and we've been doing a very good job since. Mainly our tax base comes from property tax, just like every city in the state. But we are one of 22 cities in Michigan that have local income tax at 1%. So honestly, that has really saved our bacon financially over the last 15 years or so. But it really came into being after Clark Equipment and Eaton Corp left back in the late 80s. So.
Yeah, it's been over 30 years now. Right. And people predicted then that Springfield would just crumble and fade away and never recover from the loss of two major employers and that huge tax base that Clark and Eaton provided there. But obviously you have.
Well, I just did a presentation last week to Battle Creek and Bucks, and when I took the office, there was a lot of historical material in there about Springfield, and Springfield actually did cease being a city a few years after it was founded in the 50s. It was annexed by Battle Creek, and the city of Springfield electors sued, and the state Supreme Court said that annexation vote was invalid, and so we spent 2 years not being a city, and in 1959 or something like that, we came back, and
that must be when the Simpsons got a hold of the name. And
yeah, I say every state but Alaska and Hawaii has a Springfield, and this one's ours.
Really? They do? I didn't know that, but I'm not surprised. Yeah. Everybody has their own Jedediah Springfield, I guess. Well, but with Eaton and Clark gone, then, who are the major players when we're talking tax base in Springfield now?
Springfield has about 225 small businesses, so we're very diversified now. Back in the 70s and 80s, that wasn't the case.
Mm-hmm.
Those two were the big players in town. But
those two and Gordy's Twirl Top.
Yeah, there you go. But we're very diversified now. About 220 small businesses and 5,200 residents. So that's good. The mayor and I have taken the time. It probably took us 18 months to visit every single one of those 220 businesses.
Wow.
Just to kind of introduce ourselves. I was still relatively new at the time, and our mayor, Harry Burdett, he's been on council for a long, long time, but he just started his stint as mayor in 2015. So it got his face out there, and we got to say hello to all of our stalwart business owners. So we appreciated that.
It's sort of like, what those financial advisors tell you, to have a balanced portfolio and, don't put all your eggs in one basket. And it sounds like that's a good thing for a community like Springfield, which isn't like a mega urban community. It's kind of more of a, it has its urban areas, it has its businesses, but it's very much residential, is it not?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. We're more of structured as a suburban township than a traditional city. What you would think about a city is, where's your downtown? Springfield really doesn't have one. We have more urbanized corridors, but no central downtown.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, anybody that's been out Dickman Road and out M96 out that way has seen Begg Park and the relatively new facility out there, the Springfield Farmers Market. That was quite an undertaking to build that, and a really great facility. I've been there several times. But things have changed, and we want to get to that when we come back in just a moment, talk about some of the plans moving forward to keep that a great facility, but also make it less of a burden on the city of Springfield. Nate Henne is the Springfield City Manager. He is our guest this morning on WBCK. We're talking Springfield today with Nate Henne, who is the City Manager at Springfield. New initiative, new partnership, I guess, if you will, has come up, and it's going to involve the Springfield Farmers Markets. Tell us a little bit about what's going on out there.
Well, Springfield really paved the way as far as the way our farmers market is constructed. Built in 2003 with bond money as part of a complete reconstruct of Begg Park. I believe Jim Jenkins was the city manager at the time, and Planning Commission really had a big hand in creating Begg Park and what it is today. And the farmers market is very unique because it has a commercial kitchen. It's got vendor spaces. It's basically, you walk into it and it's basically like a mini downtown right inside of a building. So it's a very interesting facility in it. Some other cities are going that way instead of having a pole structure with no walls, no electricity, no utilities and stuff like that.
Right.
But Springfield's very different. It's been a challenge for the city to operate the farmers market to its full potential. When it first started, after we got our commercial kitchen, it was doing very well. But there were some management changes over the years, and connections were lost. I guess that camaraderie just went away, and it's been very difficult to build that back up again. So the city spent a lot of money trying to operate that farmers market, and a lot of it would come out of our general fund. That's your property tax money. And we hoped that eventually the farmers market would be able to sustain itself with fees and rentals, but that just wasn't the case.
Mm-hmm.
So we were trying to think out of the box on what to do.
I know some people have had, wedding receptions out there and raved that it was really a great place. And I've been to a couple out there and thought, wow, yeah, this is really a great facility, but there's a lot of variables there, a lot of things to take into account as far as maintenance and marketing and everything. Yeah.
And we had the weddings, we rented out for parties, and we had all of our special events. The car show obviously was in Begg Park. We had craft shows and costume parties in there. Just started a Halloween event called Trunk or Treat. That was a big success. But the day-to-day operations of the market, that's what we were really honing in on, because that's where the dollar signs were. And then I've known Jeremy with Sprout Urban Farms since I came to Springfield, and I knew that the city had worked with him in the past out at the market, and it didn't quite work out. So this time I approached him and I said, what can we do to make it work this time around? And he told me, and we negotiated a bit, but in the end, it's a good deal for everybody.
Tell us a little bit about what Sprout Urban Farms is now. I understand these guys are growing by leaps and bounds all of a sudden.
Well, the real question is what isn't Sprout?
Yeah.
They're really active in the community, and what we saw was a community organization that were plugged into urban farmers, not just urban farmers, but farmers in the region that we could tap into to maybe gain some interest in coming to our market. And the commercial kitchen really played a big part in Sprout's interest, because their specialty lately has been food entrepreneurs, to get them started, get them incubated, and then maybe move on to a brick and mortar location that they would have to maintain themselves. But that's the goal right now, and Jeremy tells me it's really taking off already, and we are barely a month into the agreement.
Now, for people who haven't been there or can't remember it, I mean, there's a lot of different areas. I mean, this space, the sky's the limit with what could be done with it.
Oh yeah. Even now, there's still, even after we remodeled the front to kind of mimic a mini downtown, and we have the commercial kitchen right there when you walk in, we still have half that space again that is completely empty in the back, and that's where everyone had their weddings and their parties. And I think what Jeremy is doing now, he bought a small walk-in cooler for food storage, and that's going to be a part of his distribution hub for kind of like I call it, when we're meeting privately, I call it your Meals on Wheels for fresh produce. So that's eventually his goal.
And as far as a farmer's market goes, this thing is not going to be a farmer's market like it has been, or like the one we know downtown, or the one that some folks in Kalamazoo may know, where one day a week or maybe 2 days a week you go out and the farmers bring their stuff in and roll down the back of their pickup, and there you go. This is going to be a different thing. Right.
The city of Springfield always had, it was a mixed bag of success when it came to attracting farmers to come from Galesburg or Kalamazoo or Albion to drive to our facility on a Saturday, unpack all their stuff, and work for the day, pack it all up, and go home. So what Jeremy has done is cut out the need for that farmer to come to us. Sprout basically represents them and sells their product, and they have their own agreements with these individual farmers. But Sprout Urban Farms will be sort of like the middleman, so to speak.
Sort of like a co-op that's open all the time.
There you go.
Regular hours.
That's a good way to explain it there, Tim.
I think that sounds like a great plan. And it relieves the city of Springfield of what? The ongoing maintenance and most of the costs? How does that deal work?
We still maintain the structure, the building, the appliances in the kitchen, which are many thousands of dollars of appliances in there. Some of them are a little aged, but they still work well. So the city of Springfield, when the contract started, decided to take stock of what maintenance needed to happen in the kitchen. But from now on, all of maintenance for appliances will be taken by Sprout. And for a period of time, the city will pay utilities, but eventually Sprout will take those over. So that's kind of how we split it up. I wouldn't put maintenance of the building on a community organization that really doesn't have experience with maintaining commercial structures. So the city will maintain that.
How was the plan received by the city council?
For anybody, Tim, change is tough. But Springfield is very fortunate to have a group of 7 residents of Springfield who are very open-minded. It was a month-long process to talk it over and make the decision. And that's the way I prefer it. If this thing got done in one council meeting, I think I would be a little nervous. These people are very conscientious, our council, and if it takes 2 meetings to do it, they'll take 2 meetings to do it. And we had a good discussion on it. They asked for more information after the first meeting, and we got it to them, and that's all we can do. We can present the information, and they can make their conclusions, and I believe they made the right decision.
Well, from what I hear, there's quite the need that we have some pockets in this area where there just aren't accessible grocery stores. I mean, there's not one everywhere. Is that the case out in Springfield, do you think? Is this going to help fill a need or a void?
I know that there is a need out there. The USDA, they do, I think it's biannual studies of food availability. And, now we're not talking, the corner store with Twinkies and Ho-Hos. We're talking fresh produce and, milk, dairy products, stuff like that.
Right.
And they map from every point of the city, they map how far in miles that the nearest facility is. And Springfield is considered by the USDA as a food desert.
Oh.
So that means that so many miles away, that's where the grocery stores are, and that's just too far. We have Meijer down in Lakeview. There are a few stores up in Bedford, but Springfield does not really have its own dedicated grocery store with fresh produce and the whole gamut. So,
well, they do now, or they will. What's the status of it right now?
The status of what?
Of the new market of Sprout moving in there.
Oh, they're in. They have their walk-in cooler all set up. They immediately started in with the commercial kitchen incubator. So they have pretty much a full roster of hopeful business owners in there plying their trade in the kitchen. So we're very happy to see that. And Jeremy said that will be the first thing that goes. You watch, and it has. That commercial kitchen is an invaluable resource to the city.
Are they also into like educating people on how to grow their own food? And I mean, could they be actually having future farmers learning to farm and providing them with surplus?
Oh, that's my understanding of the organization. That's why they were founded, to spread the knowledge of local farming. Absolutely.
I think that's great.
I could certainly use some pointers.
I think it's great. I do a lot of gardening, and I am a big proponent of urban farming with one exception, and that's that I don't think we need goats. People look at me like I'm nuts. Have you ever lived next to goats? For heaven's sakes, if you live next to goats for like 2 days, you'd know what I'm talking about.
I haven't, Tim. I haven't. I hope I don't.
They are the noisiest beasts. They never shut up. They're worse than roosters. They're like, well, I'm not going to belabor the point.
Yeah, let's not talk about urban chickens. That's a hot topic to the north of us. Right now.
Chickens too. What a nasty animal. But you know what? Grow all the tomatoes and broccoli that you want, and I don't care where you live. I think that's a great thing. And, people, I mean, we need to get healthier as a society. And so it's great to see this partnership, with the foundation of healthy food. I mean, what better thing could you build a partnership on?
Yeah, it was really a no-brainer for me to get behind this. So I'm very, very happy with the results so far. But I can assure everybody listening that there's not going to be a herd of cattle on the lawn at Bed Park anytime soon.
Well, what about greenhouses? Could we see that?
Nope. There will not be any new structures built.
Okay.
There just isn't this space, Tim. We have, Beg Park's kind of a rolling terrain. So
right, yeah.
My understanding is when they built that facility, the getting level ground to not only put the facility there, but the required parking, and that was tough. So, yeah, there's just not much room out there there's plenty of room, just not much buildable room to put
right there. But I could see them, if they continue to build success like they have, they could end up acquiring some property very nearby, and we could see greenhouses sprouting up there and in other places, and it just could continue to snowball.
I didn't consider that, Tim. This whole experiment might be just one big incubation process for Sprout to get bigger too. So
yeah,
Springfield has nurtured that type of relationship for decades. So you kind of brought it full circle for me there.
More and more people are starting to think about the effects of eating fresh fruit and vegetables instead of the Twinkies. And, so who knows where it could go. Sky's the limit. Hey, nice to meet you today and talk a little bit about Springfield. We don't get the chance as often as we'd like. We hope to have you back again soon.
Yeah, I really appreciate it, Tim. Thank you.
All right. That's Nate Henne. He is the city manager over at Springfield, talking about the new partnership between the farmers market there at Begg Park and Sprout.